We write software, bespoke software, for startups and early startups particularly. So we've got a company that's just trying to break into the American market, and they've done, I think they've done 2 conferences so far, and it's a HR software tool for doing anonymous feedback from your staff. So they anecdotally have said that selling into the UK is hard because you've got to break through the layers of mistrust. People don't believe that it does what you say it does. And they found in the States that people will take you at face value, and they'll give you, yeah, I'll do a demo, and you can make that kind of call in the first hour. Whereas here it can take months of backwards and forwards to get to the point where they trust you. I just wondered if their experience is something you've seen. Are there really that bigger cultural differences stateside to Europe?
It's an interesting question, and I don't know if it was your question on the one that was submitted in advance, but there was a similar question: are there cultural differences between the U.S. and UK and Europe? And I believe there are, and we've done a lot of work with high tech companies, startups, and particularly like CRM. And one of the patterns we would see sort of universally is, and with user adoption, would be all green lights in the US, sort of yellow lights in Europe or EMEA, and almost red lights in APAC. So there'd be like, and that doesn't mean they had 100% user adoption, but people would be much quicker to jump in the US. Seeing that happening, European companies were not that far behind, but it was very difficult to break into, particularly Japan and China. They would be very resistant. But the question when it came up, are there differences? I think there are a couple of differences.
Oh, Barry, we lost you there for a moment.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe I'm talking to the ceiling. In any event, I think one of the differences is, I think the US notion of exceptionalism, we're kind of special in some way. I don't think that Europeans act that way. I think that Europe was ahead of the US in collaboration and privacy. And I think that the US is now catching up to that. I think that's especially important now because collaboration is a big part of the buying and selling equation. And so I think there are differences, but given the privacy and the collaboration, you can get more people on board, you can get started. I can believe that there are people who are willing to just, sure, I'll take a demo in the US much quicker. So I suspect that's probably not a unique experience.
Does that answer your question, Simon? Is there anything else you'd like to ask?
No, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I would say we've got another startup that wants to go into the States, but they're reluctant. I might encourage them to go a bit faster because it might be massively easier. Or not massively easier. It's obviously a big plus, but it might be something they can really get their teeth into.
I think there are other, I mean, there are 2 things that I think you really need to look at in that. One is the time difference. Okay, I mean, it really helps to have boots on the ground. And even though we're operating in a virtual space and all of that, your ability to support people and meet so on. Clearly, virtual meetings has been a huge assist in that regard, but I think they would like to know that you have some footprint here in the States. The other thing is I think they would, when you said there's a mistrust, I think that's a thing to really look at. And I think they would be well served to find 2 or maybe even 3 firms where they have established trust and can prove that they can do this in the UK, where they can be closer to home and really have some use cases that prove the point. And they may be willing to trade off pricing, service, whatever, for people who are willing A, to try it, and B, to be referenceable when it does work.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have just got government approval, and they're now in 2 government departments, so they have virtually cracked it now.
Yeah, so I
That,
wouldn't.
that gives it, that breaks the problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't gloss over that mistrust thing. That's a big deal. And just because over here it's like, yeah, whatever, let's try it. I don't think that's all of it. I think they really should establish their roots in that way.